Yes, Yugi, it's me, Kaiba. And this time you don't stand a ghost of a chance. Zach's here.
I'm here.
Random Internet Guy is here.
I'm also here. I'm also eating a donut.
Hi, guys. We have a Y episode for you today. We went through 2 unusable takes related to Yu-Gi-Oh! We're not going to do any more today.
Tragic.
While I'm pulling it up, tell me, how are you guys today?
It's been a week. I'm finishing up that album I've been working on.
That novel you were working on?
Hello.
Hello.
Mira is here. Hello.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
Fantastic. What's your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card?
My favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card is Dark Magician Girl.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
It's a good one. Yeah.
We were just about to launch into a Y episode. Would you like to join us?
I would love to join you.
All right, cool. I have a quote here from A Song of Ice and Fire. This is from relatively early in A Storm of Swords, right near the battle at Craster's Keep. I hope that you guys are ready. It's a little bit of a long one. Sam was red-eyed and sick from the smoke.
You can't say red-eyed after doing a Yu-Gi-Oh setup because I immediately think Black Dragon.
When he looked at the fire.
Well, there is a red eyes black dragon in this book, isn't there?
There is a red-eyed black dragon. I love that you brought this up. This is not a joke that has been. This is not a novel joke, but it is one that I like returning to.
It's yeah.
You will note that in Game of Thrones seasons 7 and 8, there is a blue eyes white dragon.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder where Yu-Gi-Oh got their inspiration from.
But is it a blue eyes ultimate dragon?
That's probably the ice dragon. From the ice dragon.
Oh my god, can we make that theory? Please, can we make the theory that Danny's dragons are actually going to fuse into a blue eyes ultimate dragon?
We can make any theory we want.
Polymerization.
We have the magic.
Yeah.
What's the like 5-headed D&D dragon?
That's Tiamat. Tiamat's the 5-headed one.
Okay, let's see if we can find 2 more colors of dragons.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we can find 2 more dragon colors. We'll make that theory. In the meantime, I gotta type this. Is it to fight off the flames that were consuming him?
I went to look up Dark Magician Girl, by the way, and I forgot that she's 6 stars, which
requires a sacrifice to summon.
Yes.
Oh wow.
But the effect that she has is really good. So
what is her effect? I don't remember.
Gains 300 attack for every Dark Magician or Magician of Black Chaos in the graveyard or graveyards. So it includes your opponents as well. So you can get her absolutely busted with a very specific deck, which is the reason you play Yu-Gi-Oh, right? The reason you play Yu-Gi-Oh is to do something really absurd because the cards say you can.
Absolutely correct. Did I ever tell you that I used to actively cheat while playing Yu-Gi-Oh with my friends?
Sometimes
Yu-Gi-Oh cheater.
Sometimes you tell me things that are surprising, Tom, and this wasn't one of them.
I have a friend. I had a friend when I was young. He was about my age. He is now dead. That's not important to the story.
Oh dear.
I played a Pegasus deck. If you will recall, Pegasus had this. It was like the one-eyed creature that you had to like sacrifice 2 things to and then fuse to summon. I'm gonna.
And then don't we use Karibo to beat it?
I don't.
Did I make that up?
Don't remember. In this particular wonderful card, I used to. I was pretty good at close-up magic as like a child into a teenager, and I used to stack my own deck so that I would get that combo in the opening hand every single game. I feel bad about it now, but not that bad.
How long did it take your friends to catch on?
They never did.
What?
All right, well, Tom, you know what this means.
Yes.
You gotta buy some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. We all gotta buy some
I
Yu-Gi-Oh
have to,
cards.
I have to buy some Yu-Gi-Oh cards and take them to a grave.
No, and you have to beat us in an honest game. You gotta build an honest
no.
deck that you could actually win with, like honestly. Without any cheating, no sleight of hand.
Honest game, more like honest. Wait, hang on. How far into the video are we? Hang on. No, I can't tell that joke yet. I have a theory for you guys. Well, I have a Y episode for you guys. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Who wants to read this?
Zach does.
Wow, 0 takers, huh?
Sure.
Zach, you've been volunteered.
Can I intercede really quick and ask something?
Can I get a second for Zach, please?
No. I'll do it. I agree.
Okay.
Sam was red-eyed and sick from the smoke. When he looked at the four, he thought he saw Bannon sitting up. His hands coiling into fists as if to fight off the flames that were consuming him before the swirling smoke hid all.
This, I think, is an interesting sentence. And this passage, we might get 4 minutes of mileage out of this passage or 45 minutes of mileage. In either case, I want to talk about it. In Game of Thrones Season 7, Sandor Clegane, who has shown no magical prowess up to now, sees visions in the fire. Is Sam, and this reads in a very similar fashion to those scenes. Is Sam getting a vision here? Is Sam force sensitive or whatever the equivalent is? Discuss.
Interesting. So,
Wow.
This is supposed to say fire, just for anyone who's...
So really
good old
quick,
four.
Tom, I can't remember if I've been part of a Y episode before. We're just trying to just talk about it. We're not trying to figure out any conclusion you've come to, right?
I apologize. I should have introduced this at the beginning of the episode.
I was trying to ask,
occasionally
but
when
we
we're
were
trying to
talking.
come up with theories, we will come across passages and Zach and I will just like scroll them down like in the corners of our other notes. And sometimes those get used as pieces in other theories, but a lot of the time they just kind of sit on their own. But they sit on their own. That the fact that they're on their own doesn't make them less weird. And I am of the opinion that George, that you do not take 10 years to write a book without being very careful with all of the things you're putting into it. I think that when things seem weird, most of the time in this series they're intentional. And this seemed weird to me.
So I have two thoughts, and one of them is because I just watched an In Deep Geek video about the Palantiri.
Okay.
Well, so when I first read the book, I read this as sort of like grief madness, like what happens to Lord Karstark when his sons die.
I think that's very reasonable.
That we see that a lot, you know, that the characters suffer these hardships and these deaths and then they go a little crazy. But the other thing, this could be a Lord of the Rings reference.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Denethor self-immolates with the Palantir that he has, and everybody who looks into it from that point on sees his hands in the fire or something, or like him trying to put himself out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool,
Okay.
actually.
And I only thought of that
cool.
because I just watched the In Deep Geek video like yesterday.
Yeah, that's better than my theory. When my theory was that Sam is just so fucking hungry, he's having like hallucinations, which is why he also like wants to eat Bannon in like a previous passage or a later passage where he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it smells like bacon."
That's
I
like
think this is-
a paragraph later.
Yeah, I think this is all just part of Bannon fever. He wants a pizza with some Canadian Bannon on top of it. And, you know, like, he's looking to get Hawaiian style because he is hungry and starved and has been walking in probably like, you know, near death in these horrid conditions. But I don't know. I like Mira's idea better. I like that it's a Lord of the Rings reference for close readers in the middle of like a vision or a hallucination or something like that. Be it because he's got green powers or not.
Zach, what do you think?
It's curious, and like there's some like connections between this and like Sandor, right? Like they're both in a not necessarily like completely unfamiliar place, but they're both like not they're both off the beaten path of what their regular day-to-day life is when this happens, which could be more towards the like hallucination, temporary madness sort of argument. But like it is just strange, and we know you can see things in the flames. Mel claims to see things in the flames. Usually she misinterprets them. And we know there are other people who have used the flames to see things and perform tricks and all that. So it's not like if we're assuming the Lord of Light is a real being, uh, then it should be the case that like it's a real being to everybody, right? Like a god does not exist only to those who believe in them, or let they would exist entirely. So, uh, hmm,
I'm
it-
glad
weird.
I'm glad you brought up Mel's visions, because that was one of the things that really kind of interested me about this. This is not like this is the way that you would describe it if Sam was just seeing things. But this is also, this kind of symbolism is how Mel describes her visions when she's looking into the flames. It's never anything clear cut. It's shapes in the fire a lot of the time. When I tried to look for Azora High, all I saw was snow, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if she were to say to John, I saw a dead man, his hands coiling to fight off the flames that surrounded him, I would absolutely take that as like that would fit right in with the rest of her visions.
So I
Right.
have a
Yeah.
really tinfoil thing if you guys want to hear.
Oh,
I
let's
just thought of
go.
a really tinfoil
Yeah.
idea. So what if Bannon really is sitting back up because he's like being warged by like one of the others or somebody like that?
That was actually my first.
What if he's becoming a white?
Yeah, that was actually my first thought on this. That the White Walkers are extremely close at this moment. And this is actually Bannon rising, and they burned him just on time.
Yeah, and Sam's not the only Sam's not crazy. He's just the only one who's like looking.
I feel like if that was the case, well, maybe Sam's the only one who's like making direct eye contact with the corpse, because if Bannon did anything other than like twitch, I feel like people would have noticed.
It's a little tin. Like you could wrap a burrito up in it. You could like freebase an oxy off it. It's pretty tin. I mean, like.
What?
Sorry.
We're definitely more than 5 minutes in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
But does YouTube even know what that means? That's that's
We're gonna find out.
YouTube,
We're gonna learn something.
YouTube doesn't know what that means.
Tom, your audience is 18 and up, right?
I definitely checked the box that says this video is not made for kids. That's just too fucking mean.
I also check that box. That's good.
Sometimes videos that were made before that, YouTube just guesses whether it was made for kids or not, and sometimes it guesses very incorrectly.
Yeah.
I've seen some great videos that were like edits of SpongeBob where they definitely have swearing in it, but because it was SpongeBob, they marked it for kids.
Wow.
There was something else I wanted to talk about with Sam. If you
Oh.
guys got another minute.
Yeah.
Of course.
You ready? I'm just gonna say this right out the gate. I thought about turning this into a theory, but I don't know how I would. Is Sam married?
I mean, kind of by wildling law, kind of by wildling rights. I mean,
Is Sam
maybe.
married?
Well, when we say wildling tradition, like we know for sure that like Egret, I want to pronounce it, people like that, like her tribe that she rolls with, her people definitely follow that system of marriage. We don't know if Gilly and Craster do. For all we know,
we don't. That's true. We don't know that. We just know that under certain tradition, potentially they could be considered that way. What does she say again? Doesn't she say something to him?
Let me
That's
state.
kind of like
Oh yeah, he does. She does say, "I'll be yours. I'll become your wife." when
Yeah,
they're
like
escaping
I think
together.
she clearly kind of wants to like be with him because that's the only context she's ever experienced like interaction with other people in. Like not there's anything wrong with Sam, but I mean like I don't think Gilly has a lot of tools like in terms of like interacting with people other than that fucked up backstory. Like she had a horrible childhood of weirdness. So
So, all right, here's your question. Um, uh, uh, Sam and Gilly are definitely not married in Sam's eyes at this moment. However,
Mhm.
they might be in like Val's eyes, and might it be the case that Sam could be considered an oath breaker because of
I
what he
mean,
has done? Because the oath never the oath does not hold you to celibacy; it just prohibits marriage. And I think that an argument could be made that Sam is an oath breaker now that frankly, now that he slept with Gilly.
yeah, I mean you could potentially maybe make that argument, but I think that argument would only like really matter if he was like with Gilly. Like if Sam was just like, I'm with Gilly now and we're a couple, then maybe Val would be like, well then she's your wife and you're an oath breaker.
Well, what if Val what if it's like a slip of the tongue kind of thing, right? I don't know, maybe Alistair Thorne, is like quote unquote interrogating Val, like looking for information about Sam and John, and she lets slip that that by our tradition they would be wed now.
Well, then you get into like the definitional, like like plenty of Night's Watch people
Yeah,
go to
you,
about the nearby brothels, and like people are very very well aware of that, and they don't hold that against them, even though they could very easily be
yeah,
No,
I was gonna
oh,
say
hold
so
the
so
phone,
here's
hold the phone. Remember, the
so I have
Night's
a
Watch does not hold you to celibacy. It only prohibits marriage and fathering children.
so and part of that is because of the legal like inheritance primogeniture bullshit that the wildlings don't do because they don't say like Craster marries his wives, but the other wildlings, they, like Ygritte says, like, I'll be your woman or something. Like, you carry me off and I'm yours. But they don't call it marriage. They don't necessarily think, they don't think of land ownership in the same way.
There's
You know,
Yeah.
there's no inheritance among the wildlings.
Well, they don't.
right. And,
Yeah.
and that's part of the reason that, we won't have children. We won't get married. It's because of for those legal contractual purposes. So even if under wildling tradition they would be a recognized monogamous couple, it wouldn't have the same legal repercussions. And that's, to me, that's really what the oath is getting at. Now, would Alistair Thorne exploit this definition? Absolutely. Would he
yeah.
be correct? I don't know.
I
Yeah,
think that could be an
I
interesting
think
scene.
I think Alistair Thorne could potentially like if Sam came back with Gilly and they were being a couple, even if they weren't officially married by the Seven or something, Alistair Thorne would still say that's your wildling wife and you're an oathbreaker. But I
Yeah.
think Mira's right that the wildlings like it's not the way they do partnership is not the same as in Westeros. It's not like a binding contract by the gods. It is more of like I'm yours because you picked me and I decided that I wanted to stay
And I
with you rather
didn't
than
kill
stabbing
you.
you. Yeah, I decided I wanted to be with you rather than stabbing you. So like we're now a couple. But yeah, there's not like a document you sign. There's not a person who presides over that. It's more of like an unofficial thing, which is kind of why I think this is going back to the Val thing. Kind of think that for Sam, if he's going to be considered to be like with Gilly or like married to Gilly in a wildling sense, that doesn't quite happen until they bang. Like prior to that, it hasn't quite gone all the way through. And
I
just
mean,
like
he
with John,
definitely he
just
definitely
like just
stole her from Craster's Keep.
yeah, so he stole her, and that's half of it. And then the second half of it is she's gotta choose to be with him, just kind of like like with John and Ygritte. John stole her, and then she's got to be like, okay, now now I want you, and that made John all awkward. But like in theory, like if John hadn't been all awkward, that would have been like, oh, okay, well now we're a couple, and they did become a couple eventually, where it's eventually they're a thing. So that's why I'm like, Val might not consider them a couple, but other people might consider them a couple later on if they come back together and it's apparent that they've been hanging out and doing the deed and yada yada yada.
And like,
Alistair Thorne for sure might go, it's your wife. You know?
let's make it even more interesting. We know that there's something of a political situation going on at the Citadel. I'm trying to draw the high tower right now.
It's just more Lord of the Rings, Tom.
Wait, hang on. Let me give this an eye. We know that there's a bit of a political situation, and it appears at this moment that Sam is going to ally himself with Marwyn and his crew. I think that the stuffy maesters of the Citadel will say, actually, as you can see from this book from 1200 years ago, wildling marriage customs involves stealing a woman. And as you can see, Sam, like, look at these guys. They don't even deny it.
Oh, yeah, the Maesters, absolutely. Yes.
Wouldn't that be a scene?
Yeah.
The Maesters might be upset with him. I can
Well,
see
because
that.
the Maesters are supposed to be celibate, I thought.
Are the Maesters celibate? I don't know. I don't think
a
we
good
ever. Do we
question.
ever get there, Oates?
Yeah, I do believe you're not supposed to be plowing when you're a maester, but I'm not sure because Pate seems to think that he can, like, you know. No, actually, no. I guess he would know. He was going to decide to run away and give up on the idea of being a maester.
No,
So I think you probably can't be getting it on when you're a maester.
Maesters are celibate, according to the wiki.
Yeah, I'm looking up the vows right now. It seems
that sounds right, because Pycelle's not supposed to be plowing, and he's caught a bed, and that's supposed to be like a great.
Oh, that
scandal.
scene is so visceral.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a great scandal, you know, because he's caught a bed, and he's the the archmaester or grand maester.
I was just thinking about the part where
he's not an archmaester, is he? He's just the grand maester, or is he also an archmaester of something?
I believe he's just the Grand Maester, but I don't know that.
Okay,
for sure.
So he's just the grand maester.
He was the Grand Maester for Egg.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
I
he
went back.
really?
Yeah, I was listening to Game of Thrones again because I enjoy torturing myself. And he said he was very briefly the Grand Maester for Aegon the Fifth. Because then he says, I was the Grand Maester for Jaehaerys and Aerys and now Robert.
That's fucking insane and extremely cool.
Yeah, so he's like the
Pycelle's
same
been around
age as
forever.
Maester Aemon. Like, well, Aemon even says that he knows him because Aemon sends the letter and he's like, the only people I knew down there were like Barristan Selmy, maybe, and Pycelle.
Yeah, I think Pycelle is supposed to be like pushing 90 or something like that.
He dies at 84 in
84. Okay, then he's younger than I thought. Then never mind. I thought he was late. I thought he was like 80, 87, 88, 89, somewhere in that a while.
Yeah,
No,
so maybe he was just lying.
No, it says he was Grand Maester Marion died on his way to serve Aegon V, and Pycelle was granted his position. So he was granted the position during Egg's reign, but I don't know how much of his reign he was there for.
Because
He said it was
a
very
old
briefly.
man by Summerhall, right?
Let's see.
I didn't think they were that old. They were like in their 50s or something.
Yeah, wasn't he in his 60s at Summerhall?
Hold
Because
on.
his grandson was being born at that time.
Yeah. Okay, Summerhall was 259.
And when was Egg born?
Okay.
Well, let's just say that maybe he became Grand Maester in 259. How old would that make him if he was like a normal age for a well-chained Maester?
It seems like he was there for the very last year or so of Aegon's rule.
Yes, Aegon was 60 or 59 when Aegon was born in 200.
Wait a minute. Then he's bullshitting. Tywin Lannister was not yet a political player. He says, like, everything I do for House Lannister. Implying that, and in A World of Ice and Fire, they say that the two of them are super tight. So he's bullshitting.
I mean, that or Pycelle is a Lannister, which is... Does anyone ever say Pycelle's background? Because I always suspected that maybe he was a Lannister, which is why he's like, everything I do is just to suck House Lannister's dick.
Oh my god.
Like, yeah. He's all about that.
Is he like Tytos Lannister's brother?
I don't know, but
Can you make that work?
Doesn't Pycelle sound like a Lannister name? Come on.
You know,
He's
It's also
probably
possible.
he's probably not. He's probably some other fucking guy. But I always thought it'd be cool if he was Lannister. So if his backstory doesn't say on the wiki, then I'm willing to keep an open mind to it.
It's also possible that he considers the bulk of his career of having advanced House Lannister. Like it underneath Aerys and Robert and into Joffrey and Tommen's time. Like that is a significant chunk of his career.
Yeah, the math ain't mathin', folks. Because
some don't track for me.
yeah, so if Aegon was born in 200, because Maester Aemon is supposed to be what, like 10 years older than Egg?
I thought it was like 3 years.
Okay, it wasn't that much of a difference.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
not
I guess
that much older than him,
that
right?
Yeah,
the
because
maths, then we're good.
when Egg's fucking around in Dunk and Egg, when he's like 10, Aemon is an acolyte at the Citadel, right? He's just starting.
He's like a young teen, 13,
Yeah,
14.
I'd imagine him at 15 or something like that.
15,
Then
something in that age range.
Then the maths perfectly, because 300 is around the Purple Wedding, and Maester Aemon was like 103 at the Purple Wedding, so that actually maths perfectly.
Okay.
It actually makes the math quite. It
There you
actually
go.
tracks very well. I'm trying
Yeah.
to draw a dragon in front of a moon, and I'm not sure that it's working.
I thought it was a guy with sunglasses for a second, and then you started coloring it in, and I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
I see what's happening here.
That
Okay,
looks like
no,
that looks
this
like a
actually
dope tribal tattoo.
this all could work out because we saw Walder Frey in the last Dunk and Egg story,
We
and he's
did.
like 4 or 5 being a brat.
Yeah.
And so if Pycelle is like 5 years younger than Walder Frey, he could ostensibly have been a qualified maester by the end of Egg's reign. That actually, I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
And then when he says everything I've done for House Lannister, he probably just means the bulk of his career. Even if that timeline doesn't work out, that he would have been doing work before he met and started to respect Tywin.
Yeah, well, because Jaehaerys wasn't king for very long, right?
So does it say Pycelle's house though, his original house on the wiki?
No, it does not, which is interesting.
Then I'd still like to stick by my original theory that he is actually a secret Lannister, and that's why everything he does is for House Lannister.
This is a great theory, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like that a lot too.
Yeah.
I can't see anything really wrong with it.
Yeah. I doubt I invented that, but I've thought that for a long ass fucking time.
Yeah, Jaehaerys the second only ruled for like 2 or 3 years. He died in 262. And Summerhall was 259. So mostly Pycelle served Aerys and Robert. And like 1 year for Egg and 2 or 3 years for Jaehaerys.
Is that fucking like Brack from the Brack show or something?
I don't know. I was just trying to draw
the mantis guy from the Brack show. Is that what that was?
I was just trying to draw a face going like. Wait, hang on, let me get there's a tongue. Oh.
That looks like a Real Monsters character or something.
Oh,
I love that show.
Yeah,
that looks like the ending Aliens in KOTOR 1, the one you just drew a second ago. First it was monsters, then it was the KOTOR aliens.
No, it's a bird looking at you with disdain.
No, it's that one Magic the Gathering edition. Do you know what had that symbol? Like it was like one of the Eldrazi ones.
All right, I think that's great. That's good enough for a Y episode. I'm not sure that we answered any questions, but
we definitely made you ask why.
We have confidently asserted
why on earth did you just choose to play this in your YouTube? No,
Grand Maester Pycelle is secretly a Lannister.
Yeah. That is a fun idea. So take that one out and run with it.
And Sam is a green seer.
Yes, I agree.
Zach,
George R. R. Martin likes Lord of the Rings.
Zach, by way of farewell, please give me a baseless assertion.
Jaehaerys II was poisoned by Pycelle because he found out that he wasn't a Lannister. He previously didn't know that Targaryens and Lannisters were different families.
Got him. Bye.
But